Okay, just some bonus information about ancient Greek theater. First category, music. The Greeks believed that music had ethical qualities. They associated particular kinds of music with particular ideas and emotions. Some modes of music were thought suitable to tragedy. Some modes of music were thought suitable to comedy, which really is true for us still today, right? And dance. Dance was also thought to have ethical qualities. The Greeks defined dance as any expressive, rhythmical movement. So gestures were considered dance. Pantomime, if rhythmical, might qualify as dance. In the theater, dance was typically a set of moment by moment symbolic gestures. So, not really what we would consider theatrical dance today. For costuming, there's very little reference to costuming in ancient Greek plays that have survived. So most historians think that actors would have just worn very typical Greek tunics and maybe sometimes would have carried a symbolic prop if it were necessary, like a king would have a scepter, a warrior would have a spear, that sort of thing, but nothing overly excessive in terms of costuming. Masks, though, were definitely worn. All performers in the 5th century wore masks, but none of them have survived. They were made of perishable linen, that's why, cork or lightweight wood. Um, and we know this because they were depicted in a lot of artwork. They did cover the entire head, and so the masks also included an appropriate hairstyle. They would include beards if that were appropriate, and other facial features. The masks for comedy were very, very varied. The chorus would often the chorus in a comedy would often represent birds, animals, or even insects. Um, Masks in a comedy for the human characters often exaggerated the attributes that would be considered ridiculous, like baldness or ugliness. Those types of things would be exaggerated often. But masks in a tragedy would not be exaggerated and would just be kind of like a very kind of standard facial expression. Again, this is why, because it covered the entire head, and because they were performing in these huge outdoor theaters, this is why, once again, that idea of like vocal production was basically like the most important quality for an actor in ancient Greece. Okay, fantastic. You're still with me. I love it. I love you. Um, we have one more slide to go. In the next slide, I'm going to introduce Medea to you so you can have a bit of a heads up before you start reading that this week. So let's meet on the next slide.